wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years, but here's the thing. He's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy.
Mr. Emerald added that we will soon see the major collapse of the U.S. dollar, creating the biggest international monetary crisis the world has ever seen. This is why gold and silver prices are soaring. It's not a matter of if the U.S. dollar will lose its status as the world's reserve currency. It's simply a matter of when. Investors know there are serious problems with the U.S. dollar, so they are fleeing to precious metals, which have historically been very reliable when a country has major currency problems. It's not hard to see why people are no longer accepting U.S. dollars, why many foreign countries are pushing for a new world reserve currency. The good news is, no matter what happens, I found several ways for you to protect your savings, and you could potentially even make 3 to 5 times your money over the next few years. I'll show you exactly what to do in a moment. Again, if you don't believe a currency crisis is coming, just take another look at the price of gold and silver compared to the US dollar over the past decade. It's obvious that smart investors want to hold gold and silver, not US dollars. What are the specific steps you should take? Step number 1. Get some of your money beyond the reach of the US government. It's perfectly legal and a lot easier than you think. I know you probably don't believe me when I better. They simply will have a very hard time taking what they don't know you have. I'll reveal everything you need to know to get started in this report. Plus, I'd like to send you the information on the second step you should take to protect yourself. That is, step number 2, how to acquire the world's safest assets, which are likely to perform best during this period. What I'm talking about here is buying as much gold and silver as you can reasonably afford. I will be surprised if gold does not reach $5,000 or $6,000 an ounce in the next few years. Let me get to the third financial step I recommend you take right now. Step number 3, learn the 100% secret. Step number 4, make sure you own the one asset that can help save you and your family no matter how bad things get. There's no telling exactly how bad things are going to get as this crisis unfolds. I firmly believe there could be riots, marches in the street, bank runs, massive arrests, and periods of uncontrollable mayhem, at least for several months. How can you begin taking these simple steps right away? Well, my company, Stansberry & Associates Investment Research, is a financial research firm.
Brian Deer from Channel 4 Television in the UK.
Sorry, on the phone.
It's a kind of an important matter. I'd like to talk to you about the incident at Northwick Park Hospital where you two perhaps just...
Well, the judges said the winner showed outstanding perseverance, stamina, and revelation on a story of major importance. It led to a tremendous righting of a wrong on MMR. He is Brian Deer of the Sunday Times.
The following is an article posted on the internet by award-winning investigative journalist, Brian Deer, at www.briandeer.com, entitled, Porter Stansberry, Friend or Fraud? Posted, December 28, 2010.
Quote, Porter Stansberry had me scared. Hardly had I finished my last investigation of 2010 when an investment advisory from Stansberry & Associates dropped into my inbox from one of my many tipsters and well-wishers around the world. And it hit me with bad news. We are doomed. Quote, if you live in an urban area, Stansberry blasted. Quote, I recommend making sure you've got somewhere you can go in case there are riots or food and water shortages. End quote. Bad as that? Apparently so. Quote, says Stansberry, wherever you're going to wait out the chaos, he tells us, I recommend you have basic food, water and medical supplies to last you for at least 6 months. End quote. As an investigative newspaper reporter, I've kept my eye on Porter Stansbury on and off over many years. Securities and Exchange Commission investigators have even quizzed me. But this, as we say in England, takes the biscuit. So I resolved to take another look. The document was a transcript of a video Stansbury had posted on the web. It aimed at frightening the pants off punters. Quote, "What you are about to see is controversial and may be offensive to some audiences. This, he warns, like one of those TV announcements aimed at ensuring that you definitely watch the show. Quote, viewer discretion is advised." End quote. What followed was more than 12,000 words of what Porter Stansbury aficionados such as myself will recognize as his modus operandi. Quote, "I want to talk about a specific event that will take place in America's very near future which could actually bring our country and our way of life to a grinding halt. Stock prices will likely plummet by at least 40% in a matter of weeks as a result of this event in the currency markets. It's all going to come to a head soon. Much sooner than most people think." End quote. So far, so Porter. But what's behind all this? In one word, a buzzword, it's China. According to Stansbury's not too original idea, China is poised to dump the greenback as a common currency of trade and instead move to a basket of currencies including its own yuan, the Japanese yen and the euro. Already, he says, China is unloading as many dollars as they can as quickly as possible. Drawing on a Catholic range of snippets all the way from the august New York Times to everybody's favorite Congressman Ron Paul of Texas, Porter Stansbury comes to the conclusion that America is in deep, deep trouble. Hence the riots, food shortages and the need for a personal 6-month stash of medical supplies. So how does this work? And what do we do about it apart from stock up on beans and Viagra? First, let me tell you about my history with Stansbury so you can judge all this better for yourself. Porter Stansbury and me, my name is Brian Deere, and as I've said, I'm an investigative reporter. In the quarter century since I was yanked off the business desk and into the newsroom of the Sunday Times of London, I've trawled the world for tough technical topics that need digging out the facts people need. A lot of my stuff has been in biomedical fields where the simplest story shields a morass of complexity. And almost always there's been the threat of legal complaint. In one case I was sued for 2 years, and won. So I know a few things about research and evidence. Which is how Porter Stansbury crossed my path. This was way back in February 2003 before he was prosecuted by the Second for securities fraud when the results of the world's first AIDS vaccine, eerily named AIDSvax, were unveiled in South San Francisco by a small cap company called VaxGen. Given my biomedical interests, I'd investigated the prospects for this product and wrote a 6-page report in the Sunday Times magazine. The point of all this was that by VaxGen's own logic their world's first AIDS vaccine would fail. If we'd had a TV crew here, I told him at the end of the interview, you wouldn't have a company tomorrow. Dr. Jean-Paul Levy, who was the head of France's vaccine program. He spat, "It forgets 1 century of science." But after not so long passed up Porter Stansbury. And he had a different idea. Quote, he said, "Any day now a Wall Street Journal story will make a handful of investors rich," he shouted, from an online publication. Quote, "I've uncovered a business currently worth $250 million that will soon be worth several billion. Today you can buy it for less than $20 a share. In a matter of weeks this stock will skyrocket when a story about it appears in the Wall Street Journal. When the article appears, this company could see its share price jump from less than $20 a share today to $50, $100, $150, or possibly much more." End quote. His pitch was for the announcement of the AIDSvax results, which he reasonably figured the journal would cover. Quote, he said, "The only realistic chance to make 50 times your money in the short term. As soon as these trial results are announced, if they're as good as we expect, this company could get immediate orders for billions of dollars worth of its product." End quote. Offering a $149 special report which Porter Stansbury Associates would email you for the bargain price of $74.50, he would let you in on the action to take your slice of what he called the holy grail of medicine. Heady stuff. And what was the outcome? You guessed. The company bombed. On the morning after the company unblinded one arm of the clinical trial which was underway in the United States and which showed no efficacy whatsoever, VaxGen shed a staggering $20 from its 52-week high and more than $30 from its post-IPO peak. It opened at $3.31. And how did Porter Stansbury react to this calamity? He was not going to slink away quietly. "I have stunningly good news to report," he announced to his subscribers within hours. "AIDSvax seems to work." End quote. After this came the Porter Stansbury's Green River Formation episode. This was his plug for a revolution in the global oil business, presented in similar terms. From early 2006 onwards, they grabbed Stansbury punters with the title quote, the US government's secret Colorado oil discovery. End quote. An introduction followed to this 5,000-word document. Well, let's see what happened to a Stansberry Associates investor, who took to the Agora subsidiaries path. This man accepted an invitation from Bay Daily to buy a $1.99 a year subscription to the Oil Report, at the traditional 50% Stansberry discount. For just $49.50, he got the promise of 12 issues of the publication, a special report titled, The US Government's Secret Oil Supply, How to Make Money in the American Oil Shale Boom, another titled, The Government Authorized Way to Get American Oil Royalties, and yet another titled, The Arctic Oil Boom, How to Get In Early on the World's Largest Deepwater Oil Field. In April 2006 I received an unsolicited email from the above talking about untapped oil in Green River, Colorado, Utah, etc. and stocks were recommended which they claimed will make you extremely rich in a short time. He explained in a blog, the mail as you've seen many others like it, shouted loud claims of investments of the century. The Starbucks of energy stocks, get 500% return in 3 months, etc. etc. I don't need to go into details to describe it because it's 5 pages long. He said he paid his money and, in May 2006 belonged to pile more on 4 stocks recommended in the report. They were Royal Dutch Shell, which was then priced, he says, at $64 a share, Gasco Energy Incorporated at $5.57 a share, Infinity Energy Resources Incorporated at $9 a share, Ansel Energy Incorporated at $18.86 a share. In the face of the US government's secret Colorado oil discovery, you would expect to see the indices for these stakes popping. But here are the results which the investor reported, denouncing Stansberry Associates as either crooks or morons. Can performance get any worse than that? This hapless Stansberry Associates customer concluded, even a monkey in Cambodia can pick 4 stocks and break even in 2 years. Hey now. Steady on. The seconds and Porter Stansberry. Which brings me to a source of the title of this commentary, Porter Stansberry, Friend or Fraud? How do these things tie together with the seconds' prosecution and successful enforcement action against the tipster? First, the facts, set out in various judgments, such as this one which identifies the scam. It concerned a super insider tip email distributed in May 2002, which promised the purchasers of a $1,000 special report, written by one, J. McDaniel. McDaniel, in fact, was a pseudonym for Porter Stansberry. The seconds was fascinated by that. And he claimed not only that he knew the name of a company which was about to be awarded a jaw-dropping government uranium enrichment contract, but that if you knew its identity and bought its stock at the right moment, you could double your money. Yes, double your money. A federal judge sitting in Maryland's district court, however, would later hear that there was no such tip, and that Stansberry's company, Pirate Investment LLC, already by the time of Porter's court appearance renamed Stansberry & Associates Investment Research, had sold 1,217 reports, scooping more than $1 million from the scam.